Hello everyone, my name is Icosiel, and today we're going to begin a short series for those who are brand new to classic World of Warcraft. So just sit back, relax, and let's get started with the first episode of For the Noob. Classic World of Warcraft is a game that was designed for the casual MMO player in an era of unforgiving game making. When it comes to today's standards, Classic is seen more to cater towards a more hardcore audience. In truth, what Classic WoW was able to capture was a fine balance between what is forgiving and not forgiving. So to help you start off on the right foot when you begin your adventures, I'm going to give you my top 5 tips of what to do when you first begin playing Classic WoW. My first tip for new players actually begins before you even log into the game, and it's to do a little research. Don't go onto a Classic Facebook page, forum, or Discord and ask what class and race you should play. Nobody can honestly answer that question for you anyway. Ask yourself what you want to play for the long term. Do you want to do as much damage as possible in PvE scenarios? Do you want to be the biggest ganker of all of Stranglethorn Vale? Have you always enjoyed healing in other games and want to do that for Classic? Or maybe you always play the fighter in Dungeons & Dragons, and so you know your playstyle will fit playing a tank. Once you've answered that question, go and research what all the different classes do from different sources. There are all sorts of content creators on YouTube, like Tips Out Baby, Mad Season Show, Platinum WoW, and others who really dive in deep on those subjects. There are also a lot of great websites, both new and old, that also provide more insight on more than just class and race. Some of my favorites are ClassicWow.live and LegacyWow.com, which all contain a healthy amount of material on nearly every subject in regards to Classic. There are links in the video description to the sites and YouTube pages that I mentioned here below. These aren't by any means the only resources out there, but take some time to look around and really figure out what the best class, race, profession, and faction to play for you is. Nobody can better answer that question than yourself, because as you'll quickly find out, your choice is really an extension of who you are. Tip number 2 is something I wish I did back in 2004. You've logged on to Classic and just made your main toon, and you're super excited to get going. Congratulations. Now log off and make another toon and level that one first. That's right, you'll want to level an alt toon first to level 5. Once you reach level 5, you need to travel to your nearest faction city and train in the enchanting profession. Once done, just park it at the mailbox near the bank, and now get to leveling your main toon. The reason for doing this is simple. First, it's going to give you what is called a bank alt, which will open up more storage for your main toon for free. Second, and more importantly, is that during your adventures, you're going to collect a lot of useless green and sometimes rare blue items. You want to send these to your enchanting alt so that they can be disenchanted for enchanting materials. You can either sell the materials for some extra gold, or you can save them for your own enchants later. Both options are far superior than vendoring those items for chump change. Now, if you had planned for your main toon to become an enchanter, I would still recommend doing this simply to have the extra storage, because the materials that come from the disenchanting can get out of hand rather quickly. The next tip is also something I wish I did back in 2004, and that's learning how to use keybinds. Yeah, that's right, I was a clicker until very late Burning Crusade. Now, I'm not saying you can't play at a high level if you're not using keybinds, but I do believe you won't be playing at your full potential as a mouse clicker. If you have never used keybinds before, it is perfect to start learning when you first begin to play, because you have so few abilities to use. That way, you can slowly add more keys as you gain new abilities to get comfortable with at an easy pace. To set up your keybinds, just click on the computer icon which brings up your main menu and click on Key Bindings. Here, you will be able to bind your keys in whatever fashion that fits you best. If you have a fancy gaming mouse with a dozen buttons on it, you can bind those keys as well. There is no best way to set up your keybinds since we're all individuals with our own strengths and weaknesses with our gameplay, but just like I said earlier, you can research different sources to help guide you in a direction that suits you. For me personally, I limit my keybinds to what I can easily reach without moving my keyboard hand and the keys on my mouse. If you really want to get fancy, you can start adding Shift, Control, and Alt keys to add even more if you need them. Whatever you're comfortable with and suits your playstyle is what is important. Just try and start learning this right when you start the game, because it will make the learning curve a lot easier. My fourth tip is to limit your spending with item vendors when you first begin. During those early levels, you're going to have some crap gear for quite some time. You will see vendors selling white gear that is far superior than your 1 to 2 damage sword, but whatever you do, do not purchase any of it. Don't buy weapons, armor, or shields. Don't buy bags or any other neat little thing some vendor might be selling. I will even go so far as to tell you to stay away from the auction house during your early levels unless you're the one selling something. You need to save your money for training new abilities and spells at those very early levels. Speaking of training new abilities, not every new spell is something you will need to learn. Some abilities are universal for every class, but are either designed or just work far better for a specific spec. As an example, I often level as a prot warrior because apparently I hate myself, and I have no use for the slam ability. Therefore, I won't waste the money on learning it if doing so will make me broke. Through questing alone, you're going to get some decent gear, and especially so if you're running dungeons and completing their quest along the way. So save your money and spend it wisely when you need to. My final tip is do not skip leveling your secondary professions. When I first started playing WoW, I didn't learn any of my secondary professions until about level 45, and boy was that a mistake. Your secondary professions are cooking, fishing, and first aid, and all three are going to greatly help you as you level and in the endgame. As I stated earlier, you want to be stingy with your gold when it comes to buying from vendors, and a big way to keep that cost down is by leveling both your cooking and fishing. As I show in my fishing and cooking guides, these two pair up perfectly, and can even be maxed to 300 once you reach level 35. The benefits of these two is that you don't have to waste precious silver or gold on purchasing food to heal up between battles. You can also provide yourself with your own food buffs instead of purchasing them off the auction house. The greatest benefit of all is these two secondary professions can be a cash cow. It's remarkable how many players will skip these two, and you can reap the rewards from their complacency. Check out my Fishing for Gold guide to see their earning potential. Lastly, first aid is going to help you recover quickly after a battle, and sometimes while you're actively in one. It is an absolute must in PvP, so don't skip it if that's what you plan on doing. The other great thing about first aid is there are 3 levels of anti-venom to help you remove poison debuffs. So don't skip these secondary professions, because at first they may look like a time dump, but their benefits make it all worth the time. If you've never played WoW in those early days, you're really in for a treat. If you're not planning on being a competitive raider or not attempting to be a rank 14 on your server, slow down. Take your time and enjoy the leveling experience Classic has to offer. Unlike the modern Battle for Azeroth expansion, you're not going to be shown where to go and which specific mobs to kill. There's no sparkles on the items you need to find, and more often than not, those items you need are blended into the background. You will also get Elite Quest, but in Classic, you will need to get a group together to complete your objective. Many quests take you to different parts of Azeroth, so don't feel like you're trapped in just one zone until you reach a higher level. Classic wants you to explore the world, which is why there are no quest hubs. Yes, there are new places where you will go that have a lot of quests available, but where you complete those quests aren't necessarily close to where you get them. You might be a night elf in Darkshore and get a quest asking you to speak with someone in Ironforge or Stormwind, and to get there, you will need to complete what is called the Wetlands Run. Check out Nixium's video on that subject to see what I'm talking about. There are also dungeons for nearly every level range with quests found all over the world. That's where you're going to get most of your rare quality blue items, so don't skip those either. So take your time, make some friends, and enjoy this truly immersive experience. No other expansion successfully recaptured the adventure-like experience of leveling that Vanilla gave us, so don't pass it by. So there you have it. Those are my top 5 tips plus 1 for new players trying out Classic WoW for the first time. This will be a short series of just a few videos that will cover my top 5 tips for leveling, dungeon runs, and possibly raiding, tanking, and etiquette. Remember that just like this video, I'm only going to go over the bare bones basics, as it's really only meant as an introduction for brand new players. So if you're a veteran and think it will help introduce your friends to Classic, please share it with them, and please like, subscribe, and click on that bell to be notified of new content I create. You can also follow me on Twitter at @IcosialClassicWow, or just click on the link provided below. For some of my other content, you can click on any of these links here. Thank you very much for watching, and remember to not be a noob like me and look at Taunt as a worthless ability, because you think to yourself, why would I want something to hit me? No, really, I thought that. I really thought that.